Welcome back to The Rundown. Now, there's been a lot of discussion and debate in recent years over American Jewish attitudes toward Israel. And that is especially given the impact of policies pursued by the right-wing Netanyahu government and also the Mideast policies of President Trump that are sometimes at variance with the more liberal attitudes of the U.S. Jewish majority. Now, those attitudes are the subject of a new poll conducted for the Ruderman Family Foundation by the Mehlman Group. This is on a sample of 2,500 American Jews. Now, those results may surprise some. No less than 80% of those polled identified themselves as pro-Israel, but 57% said they were critical of at least some Israeli government policies. Well, for more, let's go speak with Shira Ruderman. She is the executive director of the Ruderman Family Foundation in Boston. Shira, let's start, I guess, with sort of the good news, because there has been concern expressed in recent years about the American Jewish community's attitudes toward Israel. And we see there is over a majority criticism of some of the government's policies. But it does seem at least a significant majority are able to separate that out from their overall support for Israel.
Correct. I think you stated very well. There's a very good news from this study that shows that the people do not feel disconnected from the state of Israel and feel very connected to their Jewish identity as a result of it. And I think it is very good news to us all.
Right. But let's now dig a little deeper in the numbers, because there are some of those people that you found who do feel less connected, even though it's a minority, in the American Jewish community. And let's see the top reasons. Your study found that some American Jews feel less connected to Israel. 39% say it was Prime Minister Netanyahu's support for President Trump and his policies. 33% Israeli support for President Trump and his policies. Another 33% increasing power of right-wing or ultra-religious parties in Israel. 25% the treatment of Palestinians, and 24% settlement policies in West Bank. Now, Shira, I don't think those numbers are surprising, but what could be concerning is they do reflect some political trends that could well continue onward, maybe even intensify in the coming years if the political chips fall a certain way. And should that be a reason of concern for both the Israeli government and, I guess, the American Jewish leadership?
I think there are 2 points that we have to pay attention to. Number one, we're talking about the personal relationship that people have with Israel or with Israelis and with their personal experience, which is drifting from their organizational or structural experience that we used to see in the past. This is number one. Number two that you pointed out that is very true. There are 2 elements for the connection. They are their personal relationship with what they call the Jewish state or with their Jewish experience versus their experience being, part of American Jewry and their views, either political views or ideological views that they have concerning American or American Jewry experience versus their connection to their political, views here. In other words, we're saying that the polls shows that there is a big gap between those that identify more liberal or more Democrat versus other parts of the Jewish community, and their experience here drifting their views from Israel. I don't know to say if it's a concern. I think it's an issue that we need to pay attention to, and we need to think how we can separate their experience here for being Americans and their views about their political views versus their views and relationship to Israel. I think it is a challenge. I think that, we need to concentrate at personal experience. I think we need to broaden the conversation with American Jewry beyond the institutions and the structure that we are familiar, and make it more open, diverse, engaging, so people understand it's not a limited experience or relationship to the Jewish organizations. I think it's extremely clear to us from this poll that there is a gap between the organization to the personal experience. There is a gap between how they feel towards Israel versus being more critical on Israel or on Jewish issues. And we need to figure out, are we ready for this change? Our platforms that we have today, do they fit this, drafts? And the Paul, I think, puts this data in front of us right now and trying to figure out what can be done, what can we do differently in order to make sure that, A, we don't keep talking about crisis. We're talking about opportunities. We're not talking about drifting. We're talking about actually very good, percentage of American Jews.
Right, Shira, actually, I wanted to show some number that sort of confirming another number in your study. Let's take a look at that. 72% feel their connection to Israel is as strong as it was 5 years ago, but 32% feel the overall relationship between U.S. and Israeli Jews has weakened. I think that confirms your thing. It's not a crisis because we see the large majority still hasn't weakened, but yes, that 32%, that is something I guess those that care about Israel in the U.S. have to work on in the coming years.
Correct. I think I would like just to add one more thing to say. This is an opportunity for us due to the political, challenges that we have in both countries. I think it's an opportunity to maybe to view the relationship beyond the political aspect and see what can be done on identity, on a national, on peoplehood, on education. And there are many things we can do better, all of us as Jewish people, Jewish community, Jewish organizations. And instead of us concentrating on what divides us, I think we need to bring the conversation back to what unites us and what can be an opportunity for us to strengthen the relationship.
All right, and on that, Shira Ruderman of the Ruderman Family Foundation, thank you for joining us on The Rundown.